Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Business Spotlight interview series. And today we have Joe, and I'm going to call him Joe only, from Innovate Recycle, the only company in UK to recycle carpets. Yeah, right, Joe? It's the only one
Yes.
company. Yeah.
So we are the only company to recycle end-of-life polypropylene carpet here in the UK.
Wonderful. And Joe is the CEO and founder of Innovate Cycle. So let's hear it from you, Joe. Tell us about you and your business.
So the business started back in 2018 off the back of a carpet retailing company, Ashby Carpets Limited, where we retail carpet to a local town where my family had been retailing carpet since 1988. I subsequently took over in 2013 and inevitably saw all the waste material that we were producing each and every year and thought that there must be someone out there doing something with this resource. Quickly found out that there wasn't. So in 2018, I started Innovate Recycle Limited. Went to market. We raised £7.5 million, and we started with a equipment line that could deconstruct and then pelletize polypropylene fiber.
So is there any specific location where you're based or throughout the UK?
So we take waste from nationally from around the UK. We have partners that collect the material and deliver it into the facility, and that could look like post-industrial material from new houses and post-consumer material from HWRCs and our local authorities. They sort, grade, and then bale the material and send it in to us. So we can be nationally, we can have a reach, and we can consolidate that all into our Northampton branch.
That's so good, Joe. I mean, I was surprised when you told me that there is no one in the UK doing that, and there's so much of the carpet waste. So where is it all going?
Yeah, so there's around about 500,000 tons produced each year in the UK. A lot of it goes either into equine surfacing, where they shred the material down so horses can gallop on top of it. But our Environment Agency are set to ban that by the 1st of January 2024. The other routes are either landfill, which we have a decreasing amount of volume left, or waste to energy, where they'll just burn it for its calorific content.
Oh, that's a shame. That's actually, but you guys are doing such a great job, Joe. And if we reflect back on your journey so far, your journey in this business, what do you attribute your growth to?
Persistence. You have to keep knocking down the hurdles that you find within the marketplace. Obviously, the UK have been through quite a lot over the last several years, the same as the rest of the world. COVID-19 being a number one stickler for growth within a company. But having a good investment base behind you who can support you through the rough times, a good board members who are able to give you sound advice, and then the tenaciousness that is needed to run a company. You'll find that you'll hit more stumbling blocks than you will have the good days, and it's about how you stay positive on delivering that project day on day.
So true, Joe. What you mentioned is so true. Love that persistence. Very good. Joe, I'm sure it would not have been a journey, as beautiful as it sounds, because as you mentioned, there has been certain roadblocks. But if you had to start your business again from square one, what is that thing which you would do differently?
I would take an assessment of the whole environment, not just how good the business would be on paper. Many good businesses fall over because of the state of the economy. There's sometimes that you isn't the time to launch a business. Once you've launched the business, you can't help but carry on. But I think the one thing that I would do is really take and reflect on whether the launch of the business, it's the time is correct to do so. In our case, for instance, because there's so many ways out for the carpet material to go, as we said, equine surfacing, landfill, or waste to energy. It could have proven difficult to get market traction as it was. Landfill is decreasing, equine is being banned, and SRF and RDF, or waste to energy, doesn't want this material because it's too calorific. So I would say there was a bit of research done in the background, but a lot of the luck came in from those three avenues starting to shut its doors to carpet waste, which then obviously, as we started to get a little bit more PR around us by being on the BBC, podcasts, etc., we were able to then get a bit more market share and ground with what we were doing.
So for you, the environment is more specifically the economics, the business economic side of things, the macro environment.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the environmental side, just from the pure environmental side, there's obviously challenges around, where our waste is going, what we're going to have to do with it. In the UK, being a small, tiny island, we're going to have to be responsible for that. If you look at the environment from, sort of a fiscal point of view within the UK, you have to make the two work together. Everyone wants to be green and circular economy, but obviously that has a cost associated with it as well. And we're seeing these impact funds now start. Some of them are 15, 20 years old, but only starting to get traction now as people are waking up and being aware of the impact that waste is having on our society. And that's not just a financial impact, but it's also a social and economic one as well.
Yeah. But do you see right now, currently, are people more conscious about recycling than before?
I think they are, because I think that they understand that the burden is now put onto the individual as opposed to the company. The companies are able to produce a product, put it into the marketplace, profit from that product with no consequences of where it's going to go or how it's going to be recycled at the end. So the end of life plan, as I call it, isn't considered within most product streams. And that could be from carpet, it could be from, the bamboo resin cups that you find, all the way down to that single straw that's made of plastic, or that single knife, fork and spoon. So I think there has to be a lot of consideration made when people buy products. And I think the later the Generation Z are starting to wise up to that now. We can't just keep consuming. Exactly. We haven't got infinite amount of materials to consume constantly. We have to have a circular economy where your old consumption product becomes your new one. And people are starting to look at that circularity within their own lives, and how they can start to save money by having a resource that they get money back for, like the deposit schemes, or whether it's just looking after the planet and leaving it a better place for their children and grandchildren.
Yeah, and this has become really important, for an individual, for a company, for an economy. We see a lot of all the business leaders coming together and at least talking about this, having this. But Joe, me and my listeners would be very interested to know, in an industry where you were the first one to, and you're still the first one to come up with this, although as a company you get the first mover advantage, but I'm sure there would be some sort of business challenges you faced, because this is the sort of industry you started. So what has been the challenges you've faced during these years?
Obviously we want to remain the best company, best practice for carpet recycling. So the things that we do, just to go beyond just the recycling of carpet, we work with manufacturers, we work with waste management companies, and we work with retailers and consumers of the carpet as well. So a broad spectrum snapshot of where we can go and what we can do, and give the best advice that we can. That will inevitably filter down to others coming on board to recycle carpet. And we've just got to keep as good as we can possibly get and constantly grow. So we're aware of that, and so the challenges for any up and coming company is going to be sort of getting to the point where we are after 10 years of hard work and effort. So they're going to have to really put some serious work and effort in to get to where we are, our knowledge and our understanding. If that's achieved, a competitor doesn't mean a bad thing. It just means that you've got somebody that you can, sort of bounce off against or sort of watch as well as they grow and we grow. And in this industry, with 500,000 tons of carpet waste produced each and every year, to some degree, the more the merrier. No company is ever going to solely do one product, all of it, because if that product changes for whatever reason, it goes down a different tact, and the company can't then pivot and recycle at the same time. You've literally exposed yourself to one waste stream. So there's always going to be diversification of product type, and we're looking at it with clothing recycling, astroturf, agricultural film, and ropes. Our technology is able to do that. So I think the challenges going forward is that diversification of products, taking on those hard to tackle recycling streams and delivering a product at the end of it that not only is profitable but can stand on its own 2 feet without having subsidies from industry. I'm a firm believer that if an extended producer responsibility was to come in and subsidize our activity, it could quite easily fall over, because you are then reliant on the EPR in order to deliver you profitability, which means you're taking from somebody to give to yourself. But if product design is right, if the product like carpet is designed in the right way, there's no reason why a recycling effort can't stand on its own 2 feet, be profitable, and stand alone from the industry in order to deliver its profits and its returns back to its shareholders.
Absolutely. Mentioned a very good point, in terms of that it's abundance for all. I mean, there is so much, and it's not scarce. I mean, as action coach, part of the business coaching firm I am in, and we believe world abundance through business education. That's our vision statement. And you've just triggered on my thought that it's not actually having a competition is not win-lose. It's always win-win-win. How you can make that.
It is. Yeah, I think you're entirely right, because if with competition, you always strive to be better.
Exactly.
If you're if you're on your own, it sets the plane just to keep doing what you've always done, and you always get what you've got if you keep doing that. So there are challenges and activities that actually having competition within the marketplace, and it's why we have it in the UK. It's why we have a competitions commission. To make sure that there's that commerciality, that it's working. So one sector can't dominate over and only have one key player in it, and then just name its price and potentially profiteer from being the one and only. There will always be competition, and I think that's born from the fact of making money. If a company is profitable, there will always be competition, and when there's competition, there's competitiveness. So you'll always look to cut prices or reduce overheads, increase production, whatever it might be, and that is just a benefit for the whole country as well as the industry that you service. For our particular service, it's the recycling of carpet.
So, Joe, let's discuss from your point of view, as a CEO of the business. Whenever I speak to different business owners, and we're discussing about, from where you are to where you want to be, there are certain challenges or the roadblocks, would you say? And often these things fall into either of the three categories, which is either getting more out of the team, it's the time, or it's the money and the growth part of the business. So from your point of view, what do you see as a challenge in the coming times?
It's all three. Time is always the important one. You don't want to have too much resource on site that you're effectively, you've got what I'll call driftwood. So you've got time for people to not be productive, but you also don't want to burn them out at the same time. And then from a growth point of view, you are right, capital is really important. in a day and age where you can go and raise millions of pounds for an app or an online service or something along those sorts of lines, very difficult to raise millions of pounds for something that is capital intensive like our facility. So you're always sort of having that battle with all of these at the time. You don't want to go too early to market and give loads of equity away, but you don't want to go too early to venture debt. But then you've got to grow the team before you can grow the operation, because you've got to put people on and train. So it's always that balancing act. But it comes down to a very simple thing. We aren't the only people in the UK that have done this before. It doesn't matter what company you work for. They've seen the same challenges, growth, money, capital, whatever it might look like. And I think people forget that there's a wealth of experience out there in the over 55s, in the over 60s, retired people. Business hasn't changed. It just looks different on the outside. And what people invest in is slightly different. And I think that's where having collaborations and open communication with all an array of people is really interesting, because there might just be that nugget of information that an old retired businessman might just be able to give you, that you can then have to inevitably enact on. But you've got that bit of advice, and sometimes when you're in the company with your eyes in to the day and you're on the daily grind, you sometimes forget to take a step back and have a look in and just go, where is my primary focus meant to be? Is it really about that bit of equipment that doesn't quite work today, or is it about the fact that equipment will be working tomorrow or the next day and someone else is best placed to service that? Should I be looking at, right, where am I going to get my growth money from? So sometimes you just need somebody with a bit of grey hair just to take you, give you a metaphoric slap around the back of the head and go, take a step back. You've gone too micro. You need to be more outside of the company, looking in at where the bigger problems are and where the challenges are later on. Because before you know it, you'll be 3-4 months down the line, and that challenge that you could have sorted has now become a big challenge, and you're burning even more resource. So horses for courses.
Absolutely. You just touched base on the fact that from where you are to where how much you grow will depend upon your learning, the books you read, and the company you keep. And it's actually, but I really like the fact, it was funny for me, the gray hair, and I'm thinking, oh, you know what, as a coach, I need to have more gray hair. So that was a good one. Joe, how do you balance your personal life with the demands of the business?
Can I be honest? I don't. And that's the life of a startup CEO and founder. There is no work-life balance. There is only work. I think it's the thing that gets forgotten when people say I'm a founder and I'm a startup. They see the the apprentice. They see all the nice suits and the nice meetings and the time away and luxurious hotels. It's nothing like that in reality. You are first into the office, you're last out of the office most days. You're the one that everything sits with, whether that be from a financial point of view, an operations point of view. You have the final say, and everyone's looking at you for leadership. The one thing that I have started to look at though is taking some time away so I can recoup, because you start to get burnout. Burnout's never a good thing, because then you make poor decisions and then little things become big problems. And reality is that actually it's not selfish to have time away from the work, it's necessary. And there is a difference between the two. There's having too much time away and expecting everyone to pick up the pieces afterwards, and there's having too much. So you have to have that balance, but inevitably it will always sit on my shoulders in my company, until such a time where we're highly profitable, we've got multiple sites around, and people have got the same knowledge and understanding as I do. But then there's also that point where nothing will ever be 100% correct. 90% is good enough. As a perfectionist and someone who wants to get things 100% right, it's really frustrating when I look at something and go, I could do that better, but it's okay as it is. You don't have to be 100%. It's okay at 90. We can always come back to it, because there's always a focus somewhere else. As a startup, perfection isn't what you should be going for.
Yeah.
Proving concept is what you should be going for.
Yeah.
Get into growth, then you can perfect when you're at growth. And you see it with most companies, whether it be Apple, sort of constantly evolving its products, or Microsoft, or whoever. The constant improvement will come part and parcel of the company. You will pick it up later on down the line.
Yeah.
Better to have a company at the end of it than have something that's 100% and no company at all.
Exactly. At the end of the day, business is meant to give you more life.
Yes.
Yeah. Otherwise, it becomes it's as good as having a high paying job.
Yeah, you become a slave to your work. I mean,
exactly.
My unfortunate bit is I enjoy work. It's almost like a hobby. I enjoy learning, having those conversations with people, from a wide array of businesses, because we're all doing the similar thing.
Exactly.
Whether you're a non-for-profit or whether you're for a profit organization, you're going to change the way that something's done. You're a disruptor, or you're trying to sort of work your way up to grow a company. Many people have been here and done that and got the t-shirt before. I got told years ago by a business mentor of mine, he said, just because it's free advice doesn't mean it's worthless. And if you're not careful, you can spend some serious money on advisors that could tell you where you need to go and what you need to do, and you'll value that advice because you've put a monetary value on it. Actually, sometimes some of the best quotes and the best sort of advice I've ever got is that guy down the bar who's a friend of a friend, and you brought him a drink. You've told him about what you've done. It's about how you interpret the information and the the detail that person's giving you, not what they're giving you. It's how you apply it to your where you are in that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I'm reflecting on the fact you're absolutely right. And it's like being in that flow, and taking new things as and when in your journey. It's like learning you don't stop learning ever, ever and ever. Just keep learning and, adapting to new things. Very well said that, Joe. If you look at this sort of team, how, what qualities do you look at while recruiting your employees and, trying to create a positive environment in the workplace?
Culture's a very difficult thing to get right. We've had challenges with employees in the past. You get the one bad attitude, and it can rub off very, very quickly within an organization. I think part of a good culture is just to listen and treat everyone as human. They're not robots. They're not a number. They're not an employee XYZ. They're human. They have work and life balances problems the same as everyone else does. I think part and parcel of being a company is to have to recognize that and to be supportive. So when a challenge comes up, you can support them, and you can help them with that particular challenge that they're finding. The hardest bit is to get engagement. If you can get someone engaged, you can train. Because if they're not passionate to the point where they're burning themselves out, and you'll never get an employee work as passionately as a founder. That will never happen. But people will be passionate about their job and delivering a good job. If you can find that passion in somebody, training can come later on, and so can sort of getting those qualifications. Keeping people engaged is the hardest bit, because as soon as they lose engagement within the company, they start looking around for new jobs. So that whole culture, engagement, being informed bit is very crucial, especially as a small team. Having them engaged, knowing where we're going and what we're doing and why we're doing it is really key. Becomes harder as you grow the organization, but those are the three fundamentals that we kind of look at. Do they get what the purpose of the company is for? If they get the purpose, we can train later on for that particular role. And as well, sort of internally promote people to the next stages on what you need. Keep them engaged, make sure that it's a career, not a job. Jobs can be found, careers are hard to find and to grab hold of. And for me, I want career people. I want people who are going to start, X job and finish at Y, and go forward.
So true. So true. they can find jobs but not career, so helping them create a career. And that brings me to my next and the last question is, what's the vision for Innovate Recycle?
We set out to be a disruptor within the carpet recycling marketplace. We quickly found that we're the only people within the carpet recycling marketplace at volume. So it's hard to say that we're a disruptor when we're the only sort of ones. I think for me, it's Innovate wants to leave the planet in a better place than we found it, and that's the key challenge here. Is that if we can get circular economy within our marketplace and in our industry, if we can leave the planet better than we found it, I think that would be a very, very good focus. We want to expand, we want to go on to other products, we want to use our knowledge and understanding over the last 10 years that we've gleaned to get there. But it's a marathon, not a sprint, and we have to take day by day, week by week, month by month. But we will inevitably get to the point where we want to go, and we just keep knocking down the challenges that we find. And get to that point where we can deliver circularity for the carpet industry. So effectively, your old carpet that you take up and dispose of within the UK will go through certain processes and it will become your new carpet that someone else will buy from that warehouse.
Wow, I love that vision. Leaving planet as a better place. Is that what you and the team is looking at focusing on?
I think it's a personal thing as well. As I said earlier, do what you've always done, get what you've always got. We all know that there's not infinite resources on this planet. So we have to make sure that we can get the resources that we've got. We've got to hold on to them. They are finite. It doesn't matter whether there's billions of tons of the material or tens of tons of the material. It's still a finite material because we haven't got the ability to create more. Exactly. So we have to hold on to what we've already got. And I think by having the mentality of leaving this planet better than you found it, that doesn't look like, well, actually I could walk to the shops today and save 2-3 miles on my car. That could look like, well, I'm going to go to the farmer's market and instead of everything wrapped up in plastic, I'm going to buy everything loose. Or it could look like doing more recycling, or just little small wins that everybody could do day to day. Because with 8 billion people on the planet at current and set to rise very, very quickly, we all just do one thing. That's 8 billion things done within a split second. And it is as simple as that. It can't be down to one organization or the other. Absolutely. We all have a responsibility. We all use these products. We all, we all consume. But what we've got to look at is when we consume something, we've got to give back. And if we can get that balance right, the consumption should go down, the recycling should go up. We can all make better commercial choices when buying something. Make sure it's got an outlet for recycling, and that would really help. And like I said, it's to the factor of 8 billion. So everyone does it. It quickly becomes a done thing. Generations below then copping on to what we're doing, and then it gets to a point where it's just second nature. And recycling is a prime example of that. Many years ago, never recycled. My parents didn't, but within 2 generations, we're all sorting our recycling out.
Absolutely. Joe, the inspiration you had to start this business, I think it's very infectious because you passed it on to us, and it clearly shows the passion you have for recycling, for the sustainability, and for the environment as a whole. And I agree with you, everyone should be doing their bit. And I think there's a lot more awareness. But Joe, thank you for being at our show, sharing your inspiration, sharing your growth journeys with all our viewers who would be listening us, watching us. And and thank you. I mean, this has been a very amazing session. I'm still thinking about what you just said about the environment, the sustainability. So well done, Joe. You are doing that. Your team is doing that. And I think all of us should be doing it at some point of time, or in all the small things we do daily. So we should all be environmentally conscious of that, not wasting any resource, whatever the resource is.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Yeah, no, thank you for joining us, Joe.